Hi. Hello, everyone. Hello for everyone who's joining me live. Seeing that I have people here on the stream, so thank you for joining me on this live stream. And for everyone else that will be joining later, hi. If it's the first time that we're meeting, my name is Isabel Martins. I work with healing, energy clearing, animal communication, pretty much all things energy related. And my passion is really in understanding how our energy field works, how we work on a consciousness level so that we can understand how to function, how to create the lives that we were here. We decided to come here to create and do it deliberately. And on this session, on this video, we're going to be talking about intuition and inner truth. This is another one of those vast subjects that there's so much that we don't know now. And what I'll be sharing is to the best of my current understanding. And it's my intention, it's always expanding, always deepening, so that we can have a better and usually simpler, clearer understanding of how things work, so that we have the principles and then we can create whatever techniques we want to connect with our intuition, to connect with our inner truth and with our inner guidance. When we know how things work, we can get as creative as we want in actually using the principles to get the results or the connection that we want. Here, I think I'll be talking more about how intuition works, and I'll give just a little suggestion at the end of how actually to use this understanding. It is my intention to, in coming videos, share other ways that we can tune and tap into our intuition as well. So for now, what I really would like to dig into, and again, on a slightly lighter version, because we could be here for hours, is to talk about what is our intuition, how do we get that information. And I do have little pointers here just in case something slips out of my mind, because I want to keep this concise and useful as well. So for me, intuition is pretty much anything that we perceive that doesn't come necessarily from our memory and our rational thought. And intuition can be seen in two ways, perhaps, mostly. So it's the inner guidance that we receive directly from our soul line, so something that we will receive from our core, and we have that inner awareness of guidance. It can be an image, it can be a feeling, something that comes directly from the inside. And we also have intuition, that is our energy field, pretty much reading the energy, the information that's on the, let's call it, outside world. So we have these two forms of intuition. It's all the same, it's all one intuition, but we can distinguish between these two. Our energy read things from now, from the past, from the future, and we receive it all through our energy field. And we also have that core line guidance. You can call it guidance or intuition, part of the same thing. Maybe for this it's useful to realize that we are not, of course, the physical body, and I know that you know this, but we have several different layers to our energy bodies. We have several dimensions. I'm pretty sure you heard that as well. But it's almost like we are nested dolls. If you know the Russian nested dolls, they have a big doll, then inside there's a smaller doll, inside there's another smaller doll. We kind of work in the same way, but it's not as rigid, the boundaries, as that. So let's imagine we here see our physical body. We know that we have a physical body, an emotional body, and a mental body. Although we can't see the emotional or the mental body, we can just perceive them. So let's say that this would be the sphere of our 3D incarnation on this earth. Then, besides this, we have an extended body that starts at our core. It doesn't start at our core, it comes from the outside in. So, but it spans from our core all the way through our 3D perception of our body, mind, and emotions, and has another 3 dimensions to it, which would be what from a soul level we would perceive as well as the physical, emotional, and mental body. but much less dense than what we feel here in the physical. So it would start here at the center. We would have around it our incarnate self, our 3D self. Then on a bigger sphere, we will have our soul self. Then on a bigger yet sphere, still spanning from the center all the way through the other bodies, but extending even more would be our oversoul self, our avatar self, our rishi self. It really depends on the tradition that you study. But for here and for practical terms, what I wanted to bring to your awareness, if this is something that's maybe new for you, is that we have different densities to ourselves that also are centered around our core line. So our self, our expanded self, it's much, much bigger and much broader than we as an incarnate self are aware of. And this is where our intuition comes from. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you already heard the term higher self, inner self, soul self. It's not something or someone that's outside. And usually these terms, at least for me, they make me feel that it's something up there. A higher self is up there. It's not. It's something. It's not something. It's a part of ourselves that is expanded. It's more expanded than what we are perceiving here from our 3D incarnation. But we can expand to perceive our soul wisdom, because let's imagine if this is our incarnate self and our soul self starts from here, not starts again, spans from here to here, there's this little band that where our incarnate self-perception stops, that from here to here, this would be pure knowledge of our higher expanded self. So it would be our soul self, but as well all the other higher levels of our own consciousness. If we expand from here to here, and we start to gain access to the wisdom, to the knowledge, to the perspective, to the higher, broader view of things that those expanded states of ourself have. And that's intuition. That's where we receive the information that from our 3D perspective, we wouldn't really have come up with, because it's not something that we are maybe seeing or hearing or tasting or touching, but it's something that from that expanded energy of ourselves, expanded consciousness, it is very clear and very perceivable. So that's where our intuition and our inner guidance comes from. This said, everything, no matter what the level that it comes from our higher expanded consciousness, it's all felt from the outside in, and it's all felt through the body first. So our physical senses are our first translators of energy, of frequency. And when the information comes and it hits our body, it goes through our brain for us to actually be aware of it consciously. It first hits our paleocortex, so our reptilian brain, and that's the first level of translation into something that we can be consciously aware of. But that's not usually where we're rationally aware of something, because it just makes us feel either contracted, it's not safe, or expanded, it's safe. Whatever the information was that we received, it first passes through those two filters: contract, not safe, or expand, safe brain. So those feelings of or get translated into either feeling good or an emotion that we have associated with that particular type of or because it's not as dualistic as this. It has nuances, the contraction and the expansion. So we translate that as emotions. And from there, it moves then to our neocortex, to our rational conscious brain. And then we start seeing images, remembering stories. That's when it comes to our rational and conscious awareness, the intuition itself. And this is how it works for everything, because for us to be consciously aware of either information that's being read in our field, or that inner guidance, it has to be perceived through our brain. And the first and the most accurate, if we can start tuning and fine tuning our perception of it, is as soon as the information hits the body and it hits the reptilian brain, so the paleocortex. That feeling of contraction or expansion, it starts getting more nuanced if we pay attention to that instinctual response and we start to notice, okay, so this feels more like a contraction, but it's not because it isn't safe, it's because not something that I want, or this feels good, feels like an elation, and yes, this is something that I really, really love. It starts getting more nuanced, and it's the most direct, the closest to the source of the information, so the energy translation, is the closest that we get to get the intuitive hit, because as soon as it moves from there to the emotional brain and to the rational brain, it starts going through a lot of our filters of what we like, of what we don't like, of what we believe to be true, what we believe that cannot be true. So it starts getting distorted. The closer we can get to those initial feelings and translation of the senses, the easier it will be for us to actually be accurate in the information that we receive in our intuition. And for each of us, we will translate this in different ways. So we have three main brains, at least that's what our science is telling us at this point in time. We have the head brain, we have the heart brain, and we have the gut brain. And these three centers are also called dantians in other bodies of knowledge. And these are the three centers that are along our core line, our hara line. And we can perceive information mostly from one or maybe two of these. We do perceive from all three, of course, but usually there's a default that we perceive more the information through that center. So for someone who's very intellectual, can perceive images, you can perceive things with a very logical sense, or just a direct knowing of something. For people who are more emotional, gut brains, they have that gut feel, that instinctual yes, no, and it can get very, very refined, a lot more refined than this. So for you, if you see that one of these centers is stronger than the others, you can start by refining that one, and just the fact that you're paying more attention to either the gut feelings that you have, or to the feeling, sensations, emotions that you get, or to the pictures that pop in your mind, or those inner knowings that just pop up. The more that you pay attention to the way that you receive information the easiest, the more you'll fine-tune it and help all the others start to expand as well. And this is to say that there's no right way, there's no wrong way. Everything is always working together. It's just a matter of us having a better affinity at this point in time with maybe one or two of the ways of perceiving information. And how exactly do we tune into our intuition? And by the way, why is this important? I'm pretty sure you have your own reasons, but for everything right now, I think it's going to be more and more and more and more and more important for us to be self-referential in the way that we make decisions, in the way that we choose things for ourselves, from everything to food, activities, places where we live, with people that we interact with, bodies of knowledge that we choose to explore, everything. There's so much information, so much variety out there that we can just get overwhelmed and completely lost. So the more that we tune into our intuition and become self-referential to make those choices intuitively, and we start moving very smoothly along the line of what we chose here to actually create an experience, and a way for us to tap, a simple way actually to tap into our intuition is to be relaxed. That's always one. If information is coming through the body, the more relaxed that you are, the more you'll be aware of the input of outside stimulus. So the more relaxed you are, the more you'll be aware when something hits you. And if you very deliberately relax yourself, and let's imagine you have a choice to make between 2 or 3 options. You very deliberately relax. You come to a space of feeling peaceful, feeling good. If you just imagine, I've made the choice for option A. Imagine you made that choice already as if it's a done deal, made that choice. And just ponder it a little bit. Start noticing how your body responds. Usually to feel down and pushed inwards. That would probably mean that maybe not the best option for me right now. But if you feel that your energy starts expanding, you feel even more relaxed, it's almost like can be a sigh of relief as well. That is a good option for you, something that your body and your reptilian brain, from all the information that's being gathered from your energy field, is feeling, yes, this is a good thing for me. Clean option A. If you want, you can just take a few deep breaths. Imagine that you're cleansing. Do the same. Option B, as if it's a done deal, made this choice. And again, notice either contract or expand. And what you're feeling is that reading of energy and the synthesis pretty much of all the information saying this will not be the best option for me, or this is a good option for me. And you might have 2 good options. Then you can fine tune and see which one makes me feel even more expanded and choose that one, or you're good to go either way. That's one way that we can make our choices. Another way, for instance, to tune into guidance is to feel as good as you can. Use whatever methods you have to trigger the feeling good, feeling joyful, feeling peaceful, feeling happy, because the more that you do that, the more relaxed and the more joyful you feel, you're expanding your energy and you're moving from this state of your incarnate self, expanding and encompassing more and more of your soul self. You're getting more and more in line with your soul perspective energy. So you're in all effects aligning with your soul, and you'll have access to the information, to the knowing, to the wisdom of your soul self. And from that expanded state, again, you always need to be centered at your core. You can do the same thing. You just ask a question and just remain in that expanded, joyful place, and then just let information, feelings, thoughts come to you. Or you can make the same thing that you did before. Imagine, okay, I make this choice. How do I feel? And you'll have an even greater response, either whoop, this just contracted again, or even expand even more. So that's a simple way that we can actually use our intuition, is to very deliberately relax. If you want, you can also practice coherent breaths. I've shared this as well in the extreme anxiety playlists, that you can breathe in through a measure of time, and then you breathe out through the same measure of time. So imagine breathing in 4 times, out 4 times, and especially if you breathe in as if you're breathing in through your heart 4 times, or 5 or 6, whatever you prefer. Breathe out through the heart same number of times as breath in. That will start creating a coherent state, and it will help your field stabilize and relax as well. That will get you in the place where you can be clear in the contraction or expansion, and just feeling good. Remember this, if you want to receive guidance and much clearer answers, feeling good expands your energy field, and you're starting to encompass perception. So I think that for now, I'll wrap this up so it doesn't get too long. I hope this was helpful. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, because this is a huge subject, and I do intend to keep on talking about our intuition, because I feel it will be more and more important for us to be self-referential, tune into our intuition, tune into our guidance moving forward. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, comment, like, share, whatever you feel inspired to do. And I see you in the next video. Thank you.